Welcome to the Pocket Size PR podcast, the podcast where pocket-sized pieces of PR wisdom are distilled by communications experts. I'm your host, Charlotte Nichols, owner of PR agency Harvey and Hugo, and I'm delighted to be joined by Lynsey Fanning today. Lynsey is business owner at West End Marketing. So Lynsey.
Hi, Charlotte.
How do you define PR?
PR for me, I think there's not one single definition for it. It's about relationship building, first and foremost, and how you build relationships with customers and connect customers to a brand and create loyalty around that brand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, loyalty is incredibly important. It's a scarce resource these days.
It is, indeed,
so,
yes.
Yeah, PR is incredibly important in helping build that brand loyalty.
And I think things move so quickly, and customers are looking at one thing and another, and everything happens so fast. It's difficult to keep their attention and build that loyalty.
Definitely, especially in a price-sensitive market.
Absolutely.
So, yes. And how do you integrate PR into your marketing campaigns?
There's not one simple solution for that. I think PR and marketing for me work hand in hand. So it's about developing a unified strategy for your marketing that includes PR. And I work with so many different customers, and everybody's got different requirements and different needs, different understanding of PR. For me, it's individual. For each customer that I work with, each client that I work with, I build that unified strategy. I slide PR in alongside the marketing, or I slide the marketing inside along PR. And it's about different types of content as well, different types of PR for customers. Not all customers are interested in press releases or media coverage. Some of it it's about blogs and creative writing and that type of thing. So again, there's not one single approach, and there's not one single solution. I think it's a bit of a moving target, really, to build PR into marketing, and things can change so quickly and go off in different directions. It's just about how you try and keep the two together, working closely side by side, while still analysing results and making sure that what you're doing is working for customers as well. So I find that really important, that everything now is so trackable, and it's all about results. It's all about achieving for the customer. So for me, it's how one enhances the other. Marketing enhances PR, or PR enhances marketing, and how they kind of sit together in a strategy.
Yeah, it's sometimes just about doing the right activity, regardless whether it's classed as PR or marketing, that's going to generate the results for the customer as well. Yeah,
and I think there's a lot of PR activities that a customer would just think is marketing, and there's no strict definition. There's no strict divide between the two. And there's a lot of marketing activities, which the customer wouldn't necessarily see as PR.
Yes.
But it all kind of fits in together.
Yeah.
And as long as you keep your eye on the goal and what the end result, what the end result is that you're looking for, then, I think you can quite easily work them both together.
Definitely.
Change things up as well.
Yeah. And I guess that's your role, to kind of develop that strategy that has the right mix of the activity, regardless of what it's called, that's going to generate the results for them.
Exactly, yeah. And sometimes it's not even called anything. Sometimes it's just in my mind what we're going to do or what we're going to achieve at the end of it.
Yeah.
But as long as I can sit down with my customer on a monthly basis, or however regular that turns out to be, weekly, talk about what we've done and what we've achieved, and what's working and what's not, because it's just as important to look at what doesn't work from a marketing and PR perspective as to what does work. And if things aren't working, it's not that you've done anything wrong at times. It's just that it's not the right platform, or the right type of content for that.
Definitely.
For that market.
And that's a really good point, that things that don't have a name as such, they often go down on the timesheet when making timesheets as admin.
Yeah.
And then admin gets just as bad a rap as marketing and PR, because it's just like, well, I'm not paying for you to do admin, but there's so much necessary admin that's worth so much more than admin, but doesn't have a better name than that at this
absolutely.
stage.
Yeah.
So,
and I've got customers and I provide monthly reports to my customers as well. And we quantify hours and talk about what we've achieved in that month. And exactly the same. What I've spent 2 hours doing something. What do I call it? You've got to be quite specific about exactly what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Times to be able to justify your work.
Because there's so much hard work that goes into the back end of seeing those results that come out the other side.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of my biggest customers that I work with, we've changed all our KPIs for this year. Previously it had been the amounts of mentions in the press, or amount of press coverage. But now the focus has changed to how much time do we spend talking to influencers and people like that? Because you can spend 3-4 hours talking to an influencer.
Really good point.
And get a lot more results from that longer term. But you've got to think of it real long term. It's you don't get an instant hit with some kinds of PR, whereas with others, you spend 5 minutes talking to a journalist, your piece is published, and that's it. That's the end of it.
Yeah.
So it's difficult, and it's unique to each customer.
Yeah, that's
really
another good point. And talking about unique to each customer, unique to each industry, obviously you've spent a lot of time in the motor industry. Why is PR important in that industry, and how does it differ to, say, other industries?
I think PR is absolutely essential in the motor industry, and is becoming more and more so. It's I started off a lot of years ago in the motor industry. a lot's changed over that time as well, of course, but more and more so. The motor industry on a local level, which is the customer's face-to-face interaction with the motor industry, is at retailer level. Used to be called dealers, now called retailers, and the reason for that is they are retailers, car retailers, and they are now selling the experience, selling the lifestyle. They're not selling the brand, because the brand looks after the marketing and PR for the brand at a national level. When we talk about industry level, it's how the dealers interact with all of their different departments. It's a really complex industry. You've got car sales, you've got fleet car sales, you've got after-sales service, parts, and how they all fit together to create a reputation for that dealer sometimes can be very difficult, because they're relying on so many different channels or suppliers. If one thing goes wrong, that could be the dealer's reputation on the line. So local level PR is absolutely essential for the motor trade.
Yeah, critical.
There's a huge gap, really. The brands, so whatever car brand it is, they've almost created franchises. So you go into any VW garage, you go into any Peugeot garage, and they all look the same. It's the same as you walk into McDonald's.
Yes,
they all look the same essentially, and that's what the manufacturers have created. That it's down to the retailers to look after their reputation on a local level. Definitely,
but they have such little freedom. It can be very difficult to do that as well. When we've worked with motor industry, even the wording, the terminology of the press release, it has to fit something that the brand that's, say, headquartered in Germany or somewhere like that doesn't know the regional area.
Yeah, exactly.
And it kind of takes away its kind of power for the regional area. Yeah. So it's very difficult. Yeah,
there's certain words that you can't use in press releases or in PR and marketing for retailers at local level, and there's so much red tape as well. Almost everything that you do it goes back to the manufacturer and gets approval, manufacturer level, and it takes such a long time to get that, and it doesn't give you enough time to respond to the changes in the local market.
Absolutely, to be really reactive. Which is frustrating as well. And you get it, you understand. I mean, these big brands, they plough millions, if not billions, into their brand each year. But they have to also be adaptable to the local and regional markets.
That's, I think, I spent a lot of time in the motor trade, and that's for me one of the most frustrating things, was you couldn't do anything on the local level, and at times you almost just felt like an administrator. You were just doing as you were told to do. You stuck to that. You made a quarterly plan. It was a 3-month plan. You stuck to that plan. These are your campaigns, and you don't deviate from that. Even, like I said, so much as you can't use your own words, you can't create your own
templates. There's so many templates.
Exactly.
To use.
It's a complex industry, very complex.
It is
very interesting.
Yes, no, absolutely. And so you have your own business now, but you didn't always have your own business. What was your kind of career journey to take you to where you are today?
My career in marketing started the minute I left university. So my first job after leaving uni was in the motor trade, funnily enough. I was marketing for Volkswagen. So that kind of marketing was something that I knew I always wanted to do. It was so creative, and for me, you don't know what you're going to be doing from one day to the next.
Yeah,
you've got all your plans in place, and you do know what you're going to be doing, but things can change.
Yes,
and that's still true to this day. Things do change day to day. So I absolutely loved it. Obviously, I was younger. The industry is different, and I spent a long time in the motor trade. From there, because at that time, when I was working in the motor trade, the regional press, we used it quite heavily. There was 20 pages of cars, 20 pages of houses, 20 pages of jobs in every...
It's changed so much.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's changed so much. So I went from there because I wanted to I spent 7 or 8 years after uni in the motor trade. I wanted to kind of broaden my horizons a little bit and see it from the other side. So went from there into regional press, doing marketing.
Yes, I remember.
Yes, yeah. And again, it was a long time ago, and things were very, very different. But working with great supportive managers, and everybody was there just to get the job done. Obviously, sales targets were quite high. I was marketing for them, so that was very much a support function for the sales team to make sure they had everything that they needed to go out and sell 20 pages of motors or whatever it was. So spent quite a lot of time in regional press, and from there I moved into education, which is a completely different sector. So yeah, that was when the creativity level started to just come down a little bit, and it was it was almost, this is what we do and this is how we do it, and that type of environment, which I really wasn't used to. So that didn't last very long. From there, and I moved into engineering, which again was it's huge in the northeast. We're famous for our engineering businesses, and there's a lot of it around. So that for me was almost like a move back to the motor trade, because everybody supported each other. We were all in it together. They had massive highs, but also massive lows in the industry. Again, reliant on supply chain and all these kind of things that it's just huge, and you get involved in that sort of industry and you just don't realise what goes on, particularly in the northeast, and how it impacts everything really. And talking about highs and lows, I'd been working for a particular engineering company in the northeast for quite some time. I was quite happy with things, and I remember being out one Sunday afternoon with my husband, and got a call from a recruitment agency, a headhunter. It was a bit random. We were out on a Sunday afternoon, but had the perfect job for me, still within the engineering industry. They wanted me. I wasn't interested. And over the course of, I think it was about 3 months, the calls kept coming. Same guy. They really, really want you. They just come and talk to them. You've got nothing to lose. I ended up thinking, I said to Mark, I'll just go and have a chat with him just to get him off my back. So anyway, one thing led to another. Eventually I moved and I took the job that they were offering, to be made redundant 6 weeks later. So that for me was one of the massive lows in my career, because I'd never been made redundant. I'd never, I felt like I'd failed.
And often it's not personal. I've unfortunately had to make people redundant before. It's not personal at all. It's an awful thing to do, because you're so valued, but unfortunately it's just a business decision. I can understand why it's taken personally. Yeah,
absolutely.
But it's horrendous.
I wasn't the only one. There were. It was a round of redundancies, but I was just so shocked that I was actually that they spent so much time wanting me to go there. They offered me everything, and then that was a bit of a shockwave for me. From there, I went back to the motor trade.
Okay.
Because I thought, I know but things have changed so much in between those times, and I ended up in some quite toxic environments, really, which again, it just made me sit back and think about, where I was going, where my career was going, because I seemed to have gone up and up and up and up, and then suddenly it just dropped off the side of a cliff.
Did it really affect your confidence?
Absolutely, yeah. I was being questioned, I was being micromanaged, and it's not just me. This was everybody, because I think that the motor trade was in such a place at the time. That it was difficult. Everybody was having a hard time. The salespeople, after salespeople, were all having a hard time.
But often marketing and communication, sales, we're blamed.
It's
a tough time.
Yeah, absolutely. And what are you doing about it as marketing? What are you doing about this? The sales team aren't achieving, or this after sales team aren't achieving. And I was doing what I was being told to do from the manufacturer, and all these things start going around in your mind. I just thought, I can do better than this. This isn't me. All the creativity had gone. I saw people around me suffering mental health issues and, suicidal thoughts and all this sort of thing. And I just thought, this isn't, I can do better.
Yeah.
I can do more, and And I did, and that was it.
Yeah.
I remember it was the 1st of July 2019. It was a really nice sunny day.
Yeah.
Mark went off to work on the morning, and I sat in the garden with my laptop, and I thought, what do I do?
Yeah, I've had that thought.
And that was like, okay, I'll sunbathe a bit. And by the end of July, I'd got my first customer. Little did I know there was a pandemic 6 months around the corner. But
a little challenge for you, a little hurdle to get over. But
but you know, it was a challenge, but I proved to myself and to everybody else that you know, I can work through the challenges and
definitely.
You know, 5.5 years later, we're going strong. So yeah,
Brilliant.
It's really good.
And what are the pros and cons of running your own business?
Pros are easy. There's no Sunday night blues, which was getting to be the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Monday morning meetings or morning meetings, they were just absolutely zapping my energy and things like that. So Monday mornings now are full of energy.
Yeah.
In fact, I start Monday mornings in the gym.
Lovely.
And set my week up. So yeah, you know, in terms of my outlook, it's completely different. Every hour counts now. Every hour of my day counts, and I'm always thinking about what's coming next, and how to fit things in and work around the day. And you make it work for me as well. You know, I've got that work-life balance. I'm happy with everything. I'm in a position now to be able to pick and choose clients who I work with.
Yeah.
It's people that I want to work with and businesses where I want to make a difference. And I know that I can make a difference as opposed to being sat in that office 9 to 5, surrounded by people that you don't especially want to be surrounded by at times. You know, and they're all massive pros for me.
Yeah. I admire how you've structured your business, because it's very much centered around what you want to get out of life, and then the business fits around you. Whereas, you know, I didn't necessarily have that foresight when I started mine. It was about business, everything.
Yeah.
You know, this is my passion. I didn't have kids or a mortgage at the time, so just everything was thrown into it.
Yeah.
And then then you realise, actually, hang on, it's got to be working for me.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, one of the reasons I set up my own business was, you know, you see your parents getting older, and I knew that they were going to need more support. I wanted to spend more time travelling and doing things for myself. And you just think about your life going forward, and you know, do I want to be sat in an office and Monday morning meetings and.
We're very lucky that with PR and marketing, you can do it from anywhere in the world as well.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, face-to-face is incredibly powerful for meetings, but you can still meet online.
Exactly.
You know, and it's...
I mean, I've been working with customers for 3 or 4 years that I've not met in person. And, you know, very successful relationship that we've got going, and, you know, we've got the trust, we've got everything just works. Yeah. And it just goes to show you don't need to be constantly sat with people and talking to people. You know, I'll be in somebody's business when they need me, and when they don't, then you know, I'm not sat there wasting time or drinking coffee or, you know,
definitely
sort of things. So I
think COVID changed a lot of that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
that mindset of you don't have to be in the same room, sort of thing. And
yeah, definitely. Yeah. Cons. Probably the biggest one is the personal battle when you run your own business. You know, I rarely switch off my laptop. If I do switch it off, it's still on in my mind, and I've got emails on my phone, or you know, I'll just do this, or I'll just do that, and it's having that break, and you know, defining what's work time and what's family time, because at times you say, or you know, if you got a holiday planned or a weekend away, and I'm thinking I'm not working, so I'm not earning, and it's
stressful.
Yeah, it is stressful at times to try and kind of switch off from it.
Yeah.
Pen and paper by the side of my bed, because I'll wake up at 3 a.m. and think, oh, I need to do that, or there's a new idea for somebody, or you know, something like that.
Yeah, definitely. When I used to always say I'm the toughest boss I've ever had, it's just that accountability level to myself. You know, I really feel the pressure from that, making sure. But then you're not just accountable for yourself; you're accountable for your clients. And then we talked about the downsides when things are tough economically, and sometimes marketing, PR is cut or said, you know, it's not working. But then, you know, it also has that bigger responsibility when things are good, or when they're not going so well, to use it to get themselves out of a dire situation.
Yeah.
So I feel that situation sometimes, like it has to work for the client. You know, I want them to do well. I want them to succeed.
And I always say the success of my business is dependent on the success of my client's business. Because if it's not working for them, then that's my reputation on the line as well. So
absolutely.
It's, you know, you've got to create 2 successful businesses.
Yes.
To be able to run your own business.
Definitely.
And, be happy with how things are going. So and again, things change all the time. Clients come and go. And what you think is the right thing to do, at times the client doesn't think is the right thing to do, or they're not happy with it, or PR and marketing is very difficult to put a value on.
Yeah. Because
there's no real return on it. Okay, sales may increase, but it's not really a direct. You can't say we've sold X more units because of marketing and PR.
Absolutely.
It's so difficult to measure at times.
The thing that frustrates me as well is that on the profit and loss, or is it the balance sheet? I can't remember. I'm not financially minded. It would probably be helpful to my business if I was. But, things like buying a new laptop, it goes down as an asset. Whereas investing in your brand, your PR and marketing, it goes down as a cost.
Yes.
Whereas it's incredibly important. It's driving value into the business. So most brands, when they're sold, it's about most businesses, when they're sold, it's about the power of their brand that allows them to get that extra value. Yes. You look at Apple, Tesla, sometimes their value, the perception of it, they've been making a loss at the time they're valued for millions.
Yeah,
and a lot of that is PR, yet it is still a cost on the balance sheet or profit and loss. Yeah. So that's
I think that's why it's so easy for some people, for some businesses to say, we need to cut costs. You can't unbuy a laptop. You can't get rid of most of the physical things that you've got in your office. So cut the marketing budget, or cut the PR budget, or we'll just pause that for a few months. And I've worked with people that have done that in the past, and and I look at them and I continue to monitor them for as long as sad as it is, but afterwards, because you can't help it, and you just think, I can see that either they've got less followers now, or the traction that we'd got suddenly it's just stopped. And PR and marketing is a long-term commitment. You don't see a return month to month. It's all about the long-term goals.
Totally, but equally, which I think works against us, is as soon as you stop, they've still got the momentum from the previous month's activity, so long as it's been going a decent enough time. So it's still, they kind of think, I didn't need it in the first place, because they're still reaping the benefits from all that work that they didn't see the benefits of straight away. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it dwindles without noticing, or it drops off a cliff, and they're like, oh, actually I need it now. And they expect it to plug back in and elevate them right to where they were.
Exactly where they were.
It's like, no, because you've lost all that momentum.
Yeah.
So it is frustrating.
It is, absolutely.
And on that kind of subject, do you think sometimes there's unrealistic demands about the PR and marketing professionals and what they can achieve?
Yes, definitely. Absolutely. 100% yes.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that also part of that is about managing expectations. Like you say, customers at times will, right, I've got marketing started on Monday, so by Tuesday I'm going to get more sales, or PR, so now everybody's going to be aware of our brand, and we're sorted from a PR point of view because everybody knows about us now. And it's really not that simple. And it goes back to what I was talking about before, about so many different channels, and so many different ways of getting that message across to customers. You wouldn't use the same message on LinkedIn as you would on TikTok, and as a PR and marketing professional, you need to know clear definition of the audience, how to talk to them, where they are, how to talk to them, and and how to find them, and then start to build from there. So it's I think at times it's difficult to understand PR and marketing, and it's also difficult to define what it is and what we do, because for me, I do what's right for my customer. It's very individualised. That there's no silver bullet as far as marketing and PR goes.
Totally.
And it can change all the time. Algorithms change and platforms change, and the way that you post things or talk to people. We went from photographs to videos to and it's constantly changing, and you really need to be aware of that. So. And I work with customers that'll say, video, this is a new thing, so you need to make loads of videos. But, it's not about the quantity. It's about the quality of what we're putting out there.
And it's about what your target audience are consuming as well. I think people get swept up on trends in terms of, everyone's on TikTok. I'm like, well, are your customers on TikTok, or are your target customers on TikTok? And no. Well, then maybe you're not ready for it yet. Yeah. And obviously there's let's get ready in case, or it's let's be on it because public perception is that then you're seen as a trendy or kind of up-to-date company. There's so many different reasons, or they may be using it as a recruitment strategy. But yes, so on the terms of the topic of trends, what would you say your customers are interested in at the minute?
I think whether it's a trend or, for me, it's about content. Content is king at the moment. There's so much, there's so many voices out there all shouting about different things. There's, so many new things coming along all the time. But for me, I always try and pull it back to what do we need to achieve? Where are your customers? How do we talk to them? And create your content around that, really. It's, for me, custom content. Every social media post that I do, every blog that I write, it's custom written by me for that client, for that customer. And frustrating as it sounds, because you can go on the internet and you can AI, and there's all these sorts of things where we'll write it for you, or we'll do this. Or sometimes your customer will say, no, we need to talk about this, or we need to focus on this. But and I know that we don't. So it's about how to manage their expectations and create content really around achieving for their customers,
what they need.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
definitely. It's simple, but it's effective, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah, absolutely.
And we'll end on, what is your top PR tip, Lindsay?
Quality over quantity, definitely. And going back to everything that was said there, for me, you've got to have that consistent quality message going out. Keep your tone of voice right. Keep everything. Don't divert. And if that means you focus on the long term as opposed to the short term, you may miss out on some short term gains, but for the benefit of the long term goal. And I would always keep that in mind. Whatever I'm doing for a customer, it's long term.
Really good point to end on. Thank you so much, Lindsay.
Thank you.
Nobody can do business with you if they don't know about your business. But nobody will do business with you if your business's brand doesn't have trust and credibility. PR is the secret sauce in the marketing mix that can help achieve this and so much more. If you're interested in how PR can help your business, contact Harvey and Hugo, harveyandhugo.com, or email info@harveyandhugo.com.